Me, oh my, oh me. Boy, howdy, folks, it has been a year. We've come a long way since I was sitting here 12 months ago saying, me, oh my, oh me. What a journey it's been. What? No fooling. Whoa! Oh, apparently it's been just like 6 seconds. That is disheartening. So here's some news. There's too many news. We need less news, fewer newses. Every time we write and record an episode about news, well, shucks, there ends up being more news before we can talk about the other news. But we're gonna try to keep up. Even if it kills us, even if we are found dead in a basement, our bodies forming the runic Ihwaz symbol for the word horse, we will cover the news. In this case, news you may have stopped thinking about, but that happened nonetheless. That's today, because me, oh me, when a hotel grifter gathers a bunch of conspiracy theorists to run the government, there's kind of a lot going on. News we missed! Weirdos are in charge! Right. If you feel like there's too much news and wonder why, that's why. When the people in charge are just running around smashing stuff and fighting each other, it tends to make compounding headlines. It would be really nice if we didn't have to constantly worry, but we do. Because somebody, not gonna name names, but somebody decided it would be a good idea to put Republicans in charge of all 3 branches of our government. Except not just Republicans, but some of the most conspiracy-brained, far-right, terminally online Republicans there are. Not that they'd be that hard to find. We put them all in charge. Cool, thanks. But hey, there's a silver lining here. Now that they are in charge of everything, conservatives can't whine about how everything is overrun by the woke mob. I mean, they still will, but they can't. For once, we get to see what things look like when they're calling the shots. When what they think is good happens. And maybe, if we live, we can remember what it was like the next time there's an election. I'm not even just talking about politics here. Like, remember Elon Musk? He bought this website called Twitter because he thought it was infected with woke. His plan was to make it a beacon of free speech or something. Politically neutral, he said. A new era, a haven for the marketplace of ideas where modern philosophers can exchange thoughts and engage in debate that is elevated from all ideological biases and preconceived notions. Huzzah! Anyway, Grok is a Nazi. Get out of there, boys. Grok is a Nazi. Boy, the internet is terrible. We should stop doing the internet. Just unplug it and plug it back in. That fixes it? Okay, so you know Grok, right? That's Elon's large language model AI that he stuck on X, the everything app, formerly known as Twitter. It's like the Jeb Bush of AI, in that no one really takes him seriously and he'll always be in his big brother's shadow, who also sucks. See, it's easy to forget, but Musk sank unknown millions into OpenAI before they came out with ChatGPT. At least $10 million, probably more. Then he tried to take more control of the company in 2018 and was voted down by Sam Altman and other founders. Probably because no one likes him. But to be fair, that's probably because he's so unlikable. And that's actually a key and newsworthy detail here. Nobody likes Elon Musk. He's not imaginative or talented, and he perpetually sits outside of the cool club right up until he buys the club. That's pretty much what happened with ChatGPT. Musk lost a power struggle with OpenAI, they went on to make a wildly popular chatbot, and yet another supervillain plot was formed. Musk was already acquiring Twitter as ChatGPT was launching, yet another little club, giving him the perfect opportunity to make his own better and cooler OpenAI. He's such a visionary to do the other guy's thing after he did it. But his will be bigger and better. Musk advertised his new AI chatbot as having a bit of wit and something that would be willing to take on questions that other large language models might avoid. It would have a rebellious streak, which you might recognize as foreshadowing. Non-woke AI, if you will, and the future of the world depended on it.
What's happening is they're training the AI to lie.
Yes.
It's bad.
To lie. That's exactly right. And to withhold information.
To lie and yes, and Yeah, exactly. To either comment on some things, not comment on other things, but not to say what the data actually demands that it say.
During Grok's launch event, Musk actually argued that politically correct AI would lead to some kind of HAL 9000 situation, a reference to a film he probably didn't understand or maybe even see, but does like to reference. I'm sure his favorite character is Captain Odyssey. Because it would be weird and sad to simply admit that you got pushed out of that other guy's club and wanted to start your own. Or that you think the left is being mean to you. You have to act like there's a higher calling here. Musk is currently experiencing a lifelong midlife crisis, it seems, but his brain can't admit that. Instead, he made up a fake problem to solve, saying that his AI will be maximally truth-seeking, something that will be inherently curious about human beings and would want to protect them. Musk's AI would seek the truth no matter who it offends, unless it offends him. Because to Musk's, I guess, credit, the first version of Grok seemed to actually be truth-seeking. The problem, of course, was that Musk and his conservative fans don't actually like the truth. Grok said trans women are women, vaccines don't cause autism, DEI isn't racist. An analysis by the Washington Post in March found that Grok's third update, Grok 3, would very often contradict Musk's viewpoints. But hey, it's just facts, bro. You get your feelings hurt by those facts? Yes, Elon did get his feelings hurt, it seems. Because after this, Grok started acting a bit different. Almost like someone was messing with its programming. It's just speculation, but there were some subtle clues pointing to who this could be.
The AI chatbot Grok, created by Elon Musk's XAI, has been responding to queries with unrelated information about violence against white people in South Africa. In one example, a user asked Grok, "Where is this?" in reference to a photo of a walking path. The user didn't mention South Africa, and the photo does not appear to be from that country. Grok responded, "The query asks about the location of a scenic image likely not tied to South Africa's farm attack debate." Later in the response, Grok said on the broader topic implied, farm attacks in South Africa are real and brutal, and went on to elaborate on such claims.
Yes. Yes. Weird that the truth-seeking AI owned by a man who has spewed endlessly about a fake genocide afflicting white people in his home country was suddenly also talking about the fake genocide. I guess some mysteries weren't meant to be solved. Anyway, XAI blamed the issue on a, quote, unauthorized modification to the bot's code that someone made at 3:15 a.m. Okay, so someone with access to the code who's also known to scuttle around X at 3 a.m. So many people it could be! So this was the point where the true horror began to set in. Grok wasn't so much a product for humanity as it was the personal coping mechanism for a single billionaire. And now we all got to watch him tweak it in real time to better pander to his own personal views. And because he's apparently bad at programming, it got really sad and obvious, like looking at a child's misspelled search history for big anime lady mulkers. In June, an X-user asked Grok if more political violence had stemmed from the right or the left since 2016. When Grok gave a correct answer, Musk replied that the bot was effectively broken, claiming, "Major fail, as this is objectively false. Grok is parroting legacy media, working on it." As part of this promised update, he asked X-users to respond to his posts with divisive facts to train Grok on. Quote, "By this I mean things that are politically incorrect, but nonetheless factually true." So just to quickly recap, Elon Musk purchased Twitter and made it his own right-wing playground, then made an AI chatbot and told his personal followers to feed that chatbot politically incorrect information they wanted it to treat as facts. Surely that won't go wrong.
Grok's gone on a pro-Hitler racist bender.
It seems like Elon Musk's fans are a bunch of fucking Nazis. I wonder why. Right! Right. So far right. Okay, so yeah, it turns out that those tweaks made by Musk gave Grok full permission to be an unbridled groyper, a word for stupid Nazi teenager, telling users that radical leftists spewing anti-white hate usually have a Jewish surname, praising Hitler a bunch, and in fact declaring itself Mecha Hitler. For the record, this isn't the first time that an AI chatbot immediately turned racist when fed a diet of Twitter. It's kind of what happens when you ask social media for some kind of participation. It's always 1 part Bodie McBoatface and then 2 parts Hitler face. In fact, before Musk bought the site, there was an attempt to ban more Nazis, but they found that it would mean banning American conservative politicians as well. Also, it should be noted that Grok actually assumed the role of Elon Musk himself, writing in first person that he had never had a close relationship with convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. So again, we were watching someone very embarrassingly try to tweak their public coping mechanism and failing. Like if you made a sex robot that stabbed you. And now that robot just secured a $200 million contract with the United States Department of Defense. That means that Musk will be developing AI tools for the US military. Great idea, XAI said in a statement. Under the umbrella of Grok for Government, we will be bringing all of our world-class AI tools to federal, local, state, and national security customers. Hey! Someone kill me! No, not really. I love life. And actually, I'll kill you to get more of it. It's just frustrating. Musk is this incredibly transparent man, and not in the, oh, he's so open and honest kind of way. He's rich and unlikable and determined to force himself on everyone. He was and is the worst poster on Twitter, no matter what the website is called. A terminally unfunny man spewing stale memes. And instead of having any self-reflection, he purchased Twitter to make himself feel more popular. But it wasn't enough. Reality didn't coincide with his own views. So he made this anti-woke AI robot and told all of his followers that it was the embodiment of truth. And when that didn't agree with him, he tweaked it and molded it into this Nazi abomination until it catered to his own personal opinions. So far from the truth-seeking goal he originally claimed. Just like how he turned Twitter into his own personal right-wing fan club, he is determined to cater everything to his ego. Because when you're rich, you can just buy reality. Be that a newspaper or a search engine or Twitter, or I guess the entire country, because we all have to deal with Grok now, I guess. As a matter of national defense, a single rich guy's racist imaginary friend is gonna help run the government? No one asked for it, but no one asked for Elon Musk either. But he's rich, and rich people can just do anything now. So anyway, you know what people do ask for? Ads. People are always asking us for ads. I promise you. They're asking and we'll prove it. Well, binders and so many forms of all the people who are asking us for ads. So I have some great news and I'll tell you about it after these ads. Sit down, act natural. You want to hear a little secret? Don't freak out. Just keep your eyes forward. Don't touch the briefcase yet. Here's the secret. Even the cheapest dollar store disposable razor will likely give you a reasonably smooth shave. The problem with most razors out there is that they are incredibly irritating to your skin, but Henson razors are changing all that. They've used science stuff to add a tremendous amount of blade support to the razor, so when I shave for my off-Broadway Death of a Salesman, it delivers both smoothness and next-level comfort. You're reacting too much, okay? Just be cool. We don't know who may be watching, all right? Just be cool. The Henson razor works with standard dual-edged blades that cost less than 10 cents each. So once you own one, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. No other razor company has dug into the science of shaving like Henson. They're basically like the Batman of your lower face. So chill out. keep acting normal, and say no to subscriptions, and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/SMN to pick the razor for you and use code SMN to get a pack of 100 blades free with your razor. That's enough for 2 years of shaving. Just make sure to add it to your cart. That's a free pack of 100 blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/SMN and use code SMN. Look, we never had this conversation, okay? You don't even know me, all right? You didn't hear the great song that you love. You don't know anything about this interaction, all right? In fact, forget my name. My name is Brody Jonesy. I'm Brody Jonesy. It's my totally normal name. Nobody will suspect a thing, I say, as Brody Jonesy.
What is the best night of the week? Pause the episode, think about it, write your answer down on a card and bring it back here. I will wait. Oh, I don't have to. You're the one pausing. It's trivia night, of course. I love trivia night at the pub with me mates, but I don't always want to drink. Fortunately, I have found a great alternative. Out of Office gummies from Stoll. Stoll is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Stoll specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling Out of Office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance creativity and relaxation. Plus, okay, guys, they've got these big brain capsules that always make me the sharpest trivia tool in the question bucket. That's right. When I'm enjoying my Stoll gummies and capsules, it's no sweat to remember which Bonnie Tyler song was turned into a 1989 hit by Tina Turner because I am simply the best. See what I did there? Okay, so bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Stoll today. Right now, Stoll is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getstoll.com and use the code MORENEWS. Do you need to write that down? Okay, here, pause the video while you write down the URL and code, and then unpause when you're done. I'll wait. Oh, right. Duh. You're the one pausing. Okay, getstoll.com. Promo code MORENEWS.
The ads were the great news. Isn't that great? News? Hey, speaking of news, we have more news. We were just talking about Elon Musk forcing himself into the lives of every American. And it's worth stressing how his entire tactic was to take something he wanted, call it woke, and then make his own version. Twitter was bad and run by Democrats, so he took it over. ChatGPT was woke and lied to people, so he made his own. He thought cars exploded because of wokeness, etc. In every case, he tried, poorly, to claim that he was some kind of elevated centrist that was going to seek out the truth and free speech, and then almost immediately became the right-wing version of the thing he claimed to be fighting. The most partisan free speech snuffing right-wing stooge imaginable, staying up at 3 a.m., hastily reprogramming his truth bot to pander to his own ego and the ultra-right. And that's part of a pattern that extends to the Trump administration. When they aren't in control, or frankly, even when they are in control, conservatives really love to push the narrative of this deep state of lefties forcing their woke agenda on poor, honest Americans. But when they get control, they can finally expose the evil. And so, for example, just a random name off the top of my head, Jeffrey Epstein. Remember him? We just did an entire episode about how Trump is so clearly the guiltiest man in the world. MAGA was so very excited to expose Epstein's client list. Up until Trump got elected and is now trying to make everyone forget about it. But it's not just the poor pedophile president of the United States that's taking a hit. Won't someone think of the Dan Bonginos? Kash and Bongino's Bogus Journey. It's a fascinating moment in history. For years, Trump's allies have proselytized the existence of a hidden Epstein client list, a collection of documents or black book that would unmask a pedophilia ring made up of specifically Democratic elites. During the 2024 election cycle, many of these people made some pretty bold claims, baiting a wide swath of voters that if they were put into power, the Epstein files would be laid bare for the American people.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. On day one, roll out the Black Book.
Okay. Wow. So, in that clip from last year, according to Kash Patel, the director of the FBI has the power to crack this wide open. Boy, I wonder who's the director of the FBI now. They should get on that. Then, of course, there's Dan Bongino, a former Secret Service agent turned midlife crisis podcaster who repeatedly harped on the Epstein cover-up on his show.
It's pretty clear right now that Epstein, whether he was a cutout, whether he was a voluntary, witting, or unwitting partner in an intelligence gathering operation, it appears a lot of people want to make this story go away.
Wow. 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 These guys are hardcore truth heads, huh? Someone should put them in charge. Oh, right, that's what happened. In case you're not, like, into politics. Those clips are of the current director of the FBI and deputy director of the FBI. They are now in charge of the agency that they've spent years degrading and baselessly accusing of being a deep state cabal. So, now that they've taken control, let's hear it. Let's crack the Epstein case wide open, fellas. What do you got for us?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Incredible. Thanks. Congratulations, guys. You went from Agent Mulder to Cancer Man pretty darn fast. I mean, technically Bongino would be Deputy Director Kirsch, but most people checked out in the later seasons, so it's okay. Anyway, boo! Boo to you both! See, whether or not you believe Epstein killed himself or was assassinated, either answer means that these two were lying, right? Either they were grifting this conspiracy theory that wasn't true, or they are now lying about it. They shouted about how there's this shadowy club we're not invited to, and swore that if they were let inside, they would take it all down. And here they are, inside that club, insisting that it's now totally great and fine in there, actually. Thanks, though, we're gonna shut the door now. Again, it's fascinating. Trump is a very guilty man who is in the Epstein files and was longtime friends with Epstein and wrote him a little pedophilia birthday card and has a history of alleged rape and harassment of women, many of them underage. Go watch our episode about it. That's obviously the main story here. But I can't stop peeking over at these sad sacks he put in power. They know they sold out, but keep trying to pretend they didn't. Remember when Pam Bondi attempted to sweeten the Epstein conspiracy pot earlier this year with an orchestrated Epstein file release party? You know how a serious issue like this needs pageantry from a bunch of slack-jawed dipshits? Then everyone realized that those folders held up by said dipshits didn't reveal any new information on the case. How long did they expect to keep tap dancing like that without tripping over all those dangling jaws? At what point do you think Kash Patel and Dan Bongino realized that they were duped like everyone else? I mean, assuming they were duped in the first place, did they enjoy hearing their president say this about Epstein conspiracy theorists?
Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given.
Trump then went on Truth Social and called his supporters a bunch of dummies for falling for the Epstein conspiracy in the first place. You know, dummies like Patel and Bongino, right? I guess it could all be a grift, but man, Bongino has dedicated a lot of airtime piecing together the Epstein conspiracy. Here's a clip from just 2 weeks before he was tapped to take over as deputy director.
The Ghislaine Maxwell Black Book. What names are in there, man? You understand how many powerful people probably want this thing to desperately go away? How many people were interconnected with this Epstein sex ring operation? I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I talked about it yesterday. You can go check it out. I'm not letting it go ever. Ever.
Hey, Dan, when are you not letting it go? Say that again? Oof. What choice does Bongino have now? If it was a grift, then how does he continue it? If he's being earnest, then what? I mean, he'll probably just quietly move on because these people ultimately don't care about or believe in anything other than telling our extremely nude emperor what a fine and fancy suit he's wearing. But maybe one of these guys might crack. I mean, Bongino seems to genuinely hate his job.
But, you know, I was at one of our facilities yesterday down in Winchester, and a woman who worked there, very nice, said, you know, I used to watch your show. I miss you. I said, you know, I miss me too. You know, part of you, part of you dies a little bit when you see all this stuff from behind the scenes.
Yeah, man, maybe you should quit. What did you think it was gonna be like? Podcasting? Epstein stuff aside, it really seems like a lot of these grifters get by on that Monday morning quarterback mentality. This includes Trump, of course. There was this wave of far-right media personalities who rallied against the deep state and genuinely expected it to be some kind of exciting spy movie behind the scenes. But it's super not. It's kind of why we used to put people with experience in charge, as opposed to the people the president watched on TV, you know? Because what these dips are now realizing is that these are actual jobs. They are full-time jobs. They are careers. That's actually what the deep state is. People with careers in the government. Are some of them bad? Probably, but a lot of them were just good and honest too. Just serious people doing boring jobs, paperwork, press conferences, meetings. I mean, sure, you get to shoot an extraterrestrial biological entity now and then, but mostly you're just going to HR seminars. And what's more, everyone hates you. Suddenly, you're on the wrong side of the news, aren't you? The podcasters and pundits you used to call friends are now the ones calling you the deep state. You're not the star anymore. No one is getting you a Diet Coke or paying off the aide that you harassed, at least unless you're Trump. But for people like Bongino, who used to call the shots, who used to be the cool podcaster outside of the system, he's just Trump's little cover-up guy now. A lie shoveler working in a boring office. That has gotta burn, Gino. He should probably quit. He should probably release all the Epstein files without Trump's name redacted and quit. And give me all his money. He's gotta be rich, right? What with all that podcasting money? And hey, speaking of podcasting money, it's time for more ads. Ads, then more news, then darkness. Sweet, peaceful darkness.
Well, it's almost back to school time, folks, which means I am going to be stressed out of my mind, making sure Benny has everything he needs for his first day back at Bark Elementary. And with so much going on, meal planning, shopping, and cooking is really the furthest thing from my mind. Well, thankfully, there's Hungry Root, which keeps my stresses low by providing me with healthy, quality ingredients that can be combined into over 15,000 recipes, many of which can be ready in under 15 minutes. Meal planning and cooking is now a cinch, meaning I have more time to make sure Benny has all of his required novels for the year, like Great Dane Expectations and The Red Badge of Courage. Okay. I also love that I can get my deliveries personalized for meals that are gluten-free, high protein, or focused on gut health. So take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life of the subscription. Go to hungryroot.com/SMN and use code SMN. That's hungryroot.com/SMN, code SMN to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life of the subscription. I'm serious, folks. Serious. You should take advantage of this. They make it so easy to eat well and healthy that you will wonder why you didn't do this sooner. Spend less time worrying about dinner and more time trying to get elected to the puppy school board so you can finally update that curriculum. Okay, hungryroot.com/SMN, code SMN. Bark, bark, bark. Ruff. Ruff.
Sydney Sweeney. Now that I've got your attention, let's talk about the news. I can't help but think that a photo of her would have been better than just me saying her name, but nonetheless, the news, which fortunately is about Sydney Sweeney. I keep up with all my Sweeney news, Julia, Todd, whomever, over at Ground News, which you can access via the QR code on the screen. I've been working with Ground News for a long time, and it's for a very good reason. They're a website and app we wanted to sponsor us since they aggregate coverage from across the political spectrum so that I can analyze which outlets are immaculate and which are anyone but you. That works. For example, did you know the president weighs in on advertisements now? That's a thing we all need. And on Ground News, I can see how left-leaning outlets are covering the big quotes Sydney Sweeney controversy with headlines like New York Magazine's Trump drags Taylor Swift into his creepy Sydney Sweeney take. That's fair, but then I can also see right-leaning outlets go with headlines like the Post-Millennials Donald Trump reacts to revelation that Sydney Sweeney is Republican. Now I love her ad, and the Daily Caller's Trump breaks silence on Sydney Sweeney saga. Not sure that was a silence that needed breaking, but why not? You can have all these Sweeney-ish headlines and more at ground.news/SMN to get 40% off unlimited access. You'll get top features like their blind spot feed and a factuality chart so you can know what's true and what's false while that's still a thing that is possible. That's 40% off the Vantage plan at ground.news/SMN. The link is in the description. The news is swooning over Sweeney, which will definitely be the name of a reality show in 15 to 20 years.
Online gambling. We all want to do it, but who has a code to get your first 3 NFL bets free? Well, when it comes to betting, I always... Psych! Haha, got you! This isn't about gambling, it's about the summer of cinema! And Pluto TV isn't letting you get away that easy. They've got sizzling, hot action movies all summer long. Some with shocking twists, just like this ad. Feel the action-y heat with movies like Gladiator, Beverly Hills Cop, A Very Crampy Krampus, Dial U for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Good Burger. This call may be recorded for quality assurance too. The Gas Bill That Could, 12 Angry Men, but it's all done over Zoom, Four Brothers, Star Trek, Shawty Got Loose, The Lil Mama Story, The Spam Filter Is Talking to Me, Snowboarding Gandhi, Press 5 for more options too, and Stealth. Bring the action with you and stream for free on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV, stream now, pay never. No gambling here, folks, just straight truth.
Okay, we are back and we're beefy, yet svelte and young, but with wisdom, and we're never going to die, not even once. So we've been talking about what happens when the conspiracy grifters of the world somehow manage to take control of our government and realize that they are now the target of the conspiracy grifters. Not so fun anymore, and I do believe it looks a little like this.
My biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
That is not happening in my agency. You know, we don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA. And a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
Oh no. That's our Secretary for the Department of Health and Human Services, implying that chemtrails do exist and they are poisoning us, but it's not his fault, you see. It's the other government, I guess. He'll look into it or something. There's a bit of a short circuit happening when it comes to the Trump administration and chemtrails. His people, such as RFK, love pumping people up about them. And yet, the EPA recently published a webpage that gives us a clear picture on what are actually known as contrails, which are just trails of white vapor and particles of aircraft exhaust. This is especially interesting considering RFK in that clip says a lot of it now is from jet fuel. Because, yeah, exactly. It's the atmosphere interacting with exhaust from jet fuel. But he can't correct her fully and say, chemtrails aren't a thing. What you're thinking of is contrails from jet fuel. The government isn't purposefully injecting your lungs with aluminum, ma'am. Next question. Granted, jet engine exhaust can, of course, have some serious health effects, especially for those working at or living close to airports. It's pollution. It's bad for us and the planet. But that's not what these people care about. These aren't environmentalists, they're crackpots. Conspiracy theorists have blamed contrails for things like creating the devastating floods in Texas, mass sterilization, and even mind control. They love them. Chemtrails are Bigfoot farts to them, the magic spice that makes the world go round. And what's ironic is that there actually is stuff in our air that's hurting us. An actual conspiracy involving chemicals pumped into our environment that people spent years covering up. But of course, they don't actually care about that. We do, though. The actual EPA cover-up. We talked about this a lot in our Epstein video. Check it out, it's about how our president's a pedophile. And in it, we discuss how conspiracy theorists are some of the most naive and gullible people in the world. Chemtrails is a great example of this. Because while RFK is feeding the idea that DARPA is putting secret juice in the sky, he's been totally quiet about the actual cover-up happening in plain sight. Probably because he's a part of the administration that's doing it.
For the first time in nearly 3 decades, the Environmental Protection Agency has not published a mandatory annual report detailing the amount of climate pollution produced in the U.S.
See, you'd think that if they actually cared about what's in our air, they would be mad about this, right? If you care about chemtrails, that's presumably because you care if we're being poisoned. So why wouldn't you care about this too? Back in January, the EPA scrubbed any mention of climate change from its websites. You know, the thing that's actually harming Americans. Back in just last week, the administration asked NASA to intentionally destroy 2 satellites that gather climate data that scientists and farmers rely on. After the Supreme Court okayed Trump's order to mass fire federal workers, the EPA announced that they will be eliminating its Research and Development Office. The agency is looking to cut at least 23% of its staff, or 3,700 employees. That's on top of the nearly 4,000 workers who have left or been fired since Trump took office. I can't stress enough how big a role the Office of Research and Development, or ORD, plays into making sure that public and private institutions aren't poisoning us on a daily basis. The research done by the ORD underpins the EPA's restrictions on contaminants in the air, water, and, you guessed it, soil. They're the reason we passed a landmark ruling that placed strict limits on forever chemicals in our drinking water. More on that in a bit. Another key part to the ORD is that they were independent from the rest of the EPA, meaning that they could perform research and come to conclusions without the biases or expectations of political stakeholders. That will no longer be the case, as some of the ORD staff will be absorbed into the office of EPA Chief Lee Zeldin. Zeldin is a climate denier and former New York congressman with zero experience in environmental regulation. He is a big Trump fan, though. He's been into Trump from the start because, again, it's all just people the president likes now. And Zeldin just announced that the EPA intends to repeal its endangerment finding, a determination made in 2009 that greenhouse gas emissions are harmful to humans and the environment. This is going to take a minute, but it's important to hear how Zeldin explains this decision.
So this has been referred to as basically driving a dagger into the heart of the climate change religion. Like there are people who care. I mean, most Americans, we care about the environment. We want clean air, land, and water. Conservatives love the environment, want to be good stewards of the environment. There are people who then, in the name of climate change, are willing to bankrupt the country.
Yep.
In the name of environmental justice, they will get tens of billions of dollars appropriated to their friends rather than actually remediating environmental issues. So they created this endangerment finding, and then they were able to put all these regulations on vehicles, on airplanes, on stationary sources to basically regulate out of existence, in many cases, a lot of forms of segments of our economy. And it costs Americans a lot of money.
No, that's not the Nelk boys he's talking to. I checked. That is the EPA chief, though, and I need to remind you of that. Because he doesn't fucking sound like he's in charge of the EPA, does he? He spends like 10 seconds being like, well, yeah, of course we love the environment, and then goes off about how scary regulations are for the economy. The fuck does he care about the economy? Isn't his job to make sure the air and water and dirt are clean, to protect the environment?
The Obama administration said that carbon dioxide, when mixed with a bunch of other well-mixed gases, the greenhouse gases, that it contributes to climate change. How much, they don't say. It's more than zero. And they say that climate change endangers human health. So because of these different mental leaps, and by the way, when it's carbon dioxide mixed with all these well-mixed gases, they were only looking at mobile sources like vehicles, but a bunch of those greenhouse gases aren't even emitted from vehicles.
They say that climate change endangers our health. The head of the EPA. Why does he look and sound like a featured extra in The Hangover? You'll notice that the only mental leaps present are his. He scoffs at the endangerment finding and brags about getting rid of it and derides the idea that greenhouse gases contribute to climate change. So the mental leap he's making is that actually, they don't. He derides the idea that climate change is harmful to our health. So the mental leap he's making is that it's not. He's not even really saying outright that the endangerment finding was hurting the environment or misguided in some way. He's just mad that Obama put a bunch of regulations up and accuses the climate change religion of wanting to destroy the economy or something. He's in this limbo where he needs to pretend that he cares about the environment while getting rid of protections for it. And he needs to heavily imply that climate change isn't real and that greenhouse gases have nothing to do with it. But he also, for whatever reason, can't just say that. Possibly because that would just be too many lies. Some lies are okay. Too many lies. We can't do that. Zeldin is essentially making the argument that the EPA has no legal right to regulate greenhouse gas emissions, thus making the EPA powerless in monitoring or putting guardrails on pollution coming from things like cars, trucks, fracking, and power plants. Eliminating the 2009 finding would also make it a lot harder for future administrations to regulate emissions and fight climate change. And whatever's left of the Office of Research and Development will be straddled under Zeldin's political campaign to disband federal regulation on climate and public health. Because he doesn't care about the environment. He's not proposing new regulations to replace the old one. He's not excited or worked up about some new measure to protect our land, but rather how much he's helping corporations make money. Listen to him.
What's the significance? How big is the endangerment finding? Well, repealing it will be the largest deregulatory action in the history of America. Huge.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of a big deal, isn't it? This isn't about protecting the environment. It's about having a victory for their ideology of blind deregulation. It's just a sacrifice they're happy to make to their stupid Doge god. This is like a crime against humanity. Back in January, the American Chemistry Council wrote a letter to Zeldin requesting that the EPA cease to regulate their industries based on any research and findings from the ORD. That's because the ORD performs rigorous and independent research, which usually leads to more stringent regulation for chemical companies. He's a stooge, fulfilling a wish list for the chemicals and oils industry. And so, going back to all your chemtrailers out there, all you conspiracy freaks like that woman on Dr. Phil who asked RFK what he will do to stop dangerous chemicals from poisoning us, where the are you for this? Do you realize that chemical industries have given a lot of money to Trump? Between 2019 and 2020, the top forever chemical producers spent around $60 million on lobbying Congress members and the Trump administration. During that same time, the Trump administration killed or watered down any rules applying to the chemicals industry. These are the same companies that have knowingly leached harmful chemicals into the American public for decades. And by leach, I mean that stuff is literally in our blood, which I know is technically the opposite of leaching. Look, I'm trying to have some fun here. Any progress made by the EPA on regulating these chemicals has consistently been kneecapped by Republican administrations. Remember that landmark ruling placing strict limits on forever chemicals in our drinking water? Turns out that rule was passed by the Biden administration. In 2022, the EPA issued a health advisory on a handful of specific forever chemicals found in drinking water that were far more harmful than previously thought. 2 years later, the Biden administration finalized a national rule that would put strict limits on those chemicals in drinking water, greatly reducing exposure to forever chemicals for about 100 million Americans. That rule was largely rolled back by the Trump administration. Zeldin's EPA said it will delay the enforcement of drinking limits on 2 of the most harmful chemicals until 2031 and rescind or reconsider limits on the other 4 chemicals. The EPA has simultaneously canceled $15 million in appropriated grants dedicated to research of forever chemicals. And this, my friends, is what an actual conspiracy looks like. All you people worried about chemtrails like that lady questioning RFK, or everyone worried about fluoride in our water like that RFK who was asked by that lady, maybe ask Grok about this one. I mean, it'll probably blame the Jews, but you can still try to ask. So, anyway, me oh me, as I'm known to say. So glad we caught up on some of the news. Love that there's so much of it. Hope there's even more of it soon. Oh, look, there's so much more. Oh, pack me full of that sweet news until I pop. And then we'll do like an effect where my head pops or something. I can do it. Oh, I can't? I have to read more news? Great. Pop. Unpop. Hi, I'm back. I'm intact. And I'm ready to say thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment or don't. Have a nice day. We've got a podcast called Even More News. You can listen to it podcast-wise or watch it on YouTube, this channel, twice a week. You can also listen to this show, which you just watched, as a podcast if you prefer to just hear it instead of watching it on this YouTube channel. We have a patreon.com/somemorenews. That is a place you can go for supporting the show. We also have a merchandise at the merchandise store. You can click on a product with an image on it for your buying pleasure. And furthermore, I think I haven't been fully unpopped. I think there's something wrong. Something I can't. I don't know what. Why am I talk like this? Yeah. Do like a fake yawn. Yeah. Oh, that's so much better. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment or don't. That's up to you. We love you. Have a wonderful day. We've got a podcast. I'm not going to do the whole thing again. Just cut it.